Hello and welcome to the Invictus Racing League Realistic Performance League Round 10 at China. And as you can see, we're in the Haas tonight. I think me and Harry, the two in the Haas, and then there's no one below us in the car performance. So yeah, the Haas is the main thing with the Haas is just the understeer. Pretty much through every high-speed corner, it just understeers like crazy, and it's also pretty slow on the straights. But it's manageable. So it's reverse grid tonight, so no qualifying. We're starting in 9th, I believe. Decided to go with the mediums and hopefully make up positions on people who start on the hards. And later on in the race it's actually scheduled to rain, so there's on the weather report on the start of the race it said 1 block of rain and then I think 2 blocks of clear sky after that. So yeah, it's going to rain for a short period of time and then dry up. As you can see, we look at the tyres here, we've got 4 hard runners ahead of us and two hard runners directly ahead of us. So yeah, we'll hope to get past them off the start and then see what we can do from there, and see what happens when the rain arrives as well.
The rest of the grid is forming up. Be patient and watch for the lights.
Five red lights come on now. They're out, and we get a pretty good initial launch, especially in comparison to the hard runners. And you can see there's a gap opened up on the left, so we go around the outside of I think 3 cars, and then Gareth runs wide. We nearly collect the back of him, but just about avoid it, and we're going to hold it around the outside of Nitro, which then turns to the inside, and we've moved up into 7th from 9th, so it's a good start. We've got past those 2 hard runners. Now we want to settle in and try and hold with these guys. It's Gareth and Nightshades go side by side. Gareth runs a bit deep and we look up the inside, but he gets a better run on the exit, so he holds on to that position as these two go side by side through this fast left-hander. We're just going to try and hold on the back of this train now, hope that they can drag us along in the DRS, because that's the bit where we were losing most of the time, was down the straight to the faster straight line speed cars. We were losing about 4/10 just on the straight. So we want to minimise that as much as possible, and the best way to do that's by holding in the DRS. So that's the plan from now on, and then the rain should spice things up later on. So run a bit deep into the hairpin. We've got Nitro behind us. He's going to be a bit of a threat in the racing point. It's very quick down the straights. I think even with DRS he would be a threat to be able to overtake us even if we had DRS. So yeah, we just want to try and get as good a run out of that corner onto the straight as we can to try and hold him off and hold on to 7th. It's also quite hard to recover the battery with such a slow car on the straight, so we want to be minimising our usage of that and only using it when necessary, so that when we do need it to defend or overtake, we can have some left. As you can see an AlphaTauri off the track, that's Bando Biz. He's made a mistake. Rejoins just in front of Gareth. He started either on pole or in 2nd, I think, so yeah, he's dropped back a bit off the start, but I know his pace will be good in the AlphaTauri, so expect him to pull away soon. So we skip onto lap 4 now. You can see Wojtek behind us. He's got past Nitro. I think he's made a mistake because Sab's now behind him. As we come into this corner, there's a yellow flag. That's Ginger Tiger off on the left, and he's actually had a crash with Pascal Dussel. Those two were first and second, and I think you can see Ginger Tiger, well, he's spun, and I think he had wind damage, and so did Pascal Dussel. So those guys have lost a lot of positions. That promotes us up to 5th. As we move on to lap 5, you can see Nightshades gets past Gareth. Gareth doesn't fight it too hard. So yeah, we're now behind the Ferrari as Bando Biz is trying to have a look at the lead there. Roundo Stephen, who's our teammate. But we move on to lap 6, you see Wojtek is still very close behind us in the McLaren, which is pretty quick down the straights, much quicker than the Haas. You can see we use some battery, but even then he's closing on us. We go defensive, but he's ahead going into the braking zone, so we just let him go. No point fighting that, because he would have just got past us at some point. No point wasting a load of battery. But we've now got the Renault of Fransan behind us, and the Renault is very quick on the straight. So as we move on to the next lap, I don't think there's going to be much we can do against him. You can see we use battery. I shouldn't have done really. I should have just let him go. And we go defensive again, but there's just nothing we can do about that. You can see he's lagging a bit, so we look at trying to hold it around the inside, but like I say, nothing we can do about that when he's got that kind of overspeed on the straights. And then when we move on to lap 8, I was actually having some issues with my force feedback. You can see as we pause it, we're 7/10ths behind Fransan, so we're still in the DRS as we pause it. But as you press save there, you can see the car freezes a bit. And so as we come out of the settings, we're now 1.7 seconds behind. So we've lost about a second just in the settings, and we're now out of the DRS of Fransan. So that's a bit of a pain, but it's my fault for not sorting my settings out in the formation lap. So let's move on to lap 10 now. I've got no DRS. We've lost a lot of time to Fransan, and we've now got Nitro in the racing point behind us. He doesn't get quite past us in the braking zone, so we're going to hold it down the inside, push him slightly out onto the curb so he gets poor traction, and then he's not going to risk it up the inside into the final corner. It's too risky, so we hold on for now. But you can see we've only got 10% ERS, so we've got nothing to defend with really, and you can see how quickly he catches us on the straight, and then he has a look up the inside. I wasn't sure whether he was going for it, so I left him some room that allows him to sneak up the inside, and he runs out of track, which is fair enough, and so he's through now. So we're going to try and hang on with him, but I think the hards are probably quicker than the mediums at this point. And then later on that lap, on lap 11, we've now got Sir Spud in the Red Bull right behind us, and you can see we're not even in DRS yet, and he's already passed us. So yeah, that's the problem with the Haas. Just on the straights, it loses a lot of time. I think that's the case with all of the bottom 3 cars. Is just the straight line speed, so you have to run quite low wings and then understeer. But yeah, we're going to push on anyway. And you can see pit window open on lap 12, but I knew that the rain was coming soon. You can see we're now onto lap 12. I asked Jeff the weather report, and he says that dries are the best tyre, so quite confused as to what he meant, seeing as I was asking what the weather was, not about the tyres. But as I come into turn 1, I noticed that it's, I'm not sure if you can see it on the video, but it's actually already raining very lightly. So that's what Jeff was saying, that it is raining, but dries are still quicker.
You're doing well out there. Keep it up. We're looking at about 10 more minutes of rain.
And as Jeff says there, 10 minutes of rain, and that dries are still quicker. And you can see we're on 64% wear, so we can't go much longer on the mediums. And the problem is we don't know if we're going to have to go to intermediates at this point. But as we move on to lap 15, I decide it's too wet and that I'm going to go on to the intermediates. But the thing is, because it was only one block of rain, we didn't know whether we were going to make up a pit stop on the intermediates from those who were going straight to dries. So as you can see, we're in the pits here, and Wojtek and Fransan come out in front of us, both on slicks. So as we go onto the intermediates, they've come onto slicks. So if it does dry up at the end of the race, we're going to have had to make up a pit stop on them during the intermediate phase, in order for this strategy to work. You can see Ginger Tiger comes out ahead of us on the hards, and as we go around turn 1 there, DRS has been disabled now, so we know that the intermediates are definitely quicker at this point, but it's whether we can make up the time. You can see Ginger Tiger spins coming out of turn 2, so that's how slippy it is for those on the slicks. They're going to be really struggling, but like I say, it's whether or not we can make up the time on the intermediates. On those who aren't pitting for the Inter, you can see we're catching Gareth here. He's still out on the hards, and you can just see the grip we've got in comparison to him. He just lets us go on the inside. Yeah, there's nothing they can do really on those hards. You can see this is Fransan. He's on fresh hards, so he's literally just pitting, and he's struggling this much. So yeah, they're gonna have to pit again, because you can see the amount of time they're losing. They're losing at about a second a corner, if not more. So we get past Fransan easily with the momentum we carried through that last corner. I don't pull in it in front of him because I was worried he was actually going to hit the back of me if he missed his braking point on those slicks. And as we go up the inside of 2 McLarens now, making a bit of contact but no damage. Look at the traction we get just pulling away from both of them so easily. So yeah, now as we come through, everyone else pits, and we're now up into P3, and you can see the gap to Sir Spud as well is 2 seconds, sorry, and he's got a 3-second time penalty, so there's a chance of a P2 here. Although Nitro is not far behind, we've just got to keep it consistent in the wet. We've not got any warnings at this point either, so we've done really well on that point, on that front. But yeah, we've just got to push on in the wet, keep it consistent and not make any mistakes, and hope that Nitro drops back, and that we can stay within that 3 seconds of Sir Spud. But as we move on to lap 21 now, the rain has stopped, and you can see we've now got an alternate strategy to go to the mediums to the end. That's how quick it's dried out, so I think the rain stopped only earlier this lap, or maybe at the end of last lap, and the DRS has already been enabled again, so the track is drying out so quickly. And with 7 laps left, we decide to follow Spud in and not take any risks and stay out on the inters till the end. We decide to just follow Spud in, and Nitro follows us in as well, so we know we're holding our third, because there's quite a gap to Sab in 5th. So now we're going to go to the softs, which is quite a stretch till the end, because the softs go very, very quickly around here, and they also overheat, but they shouldn't do that with the current track conditions, because of the fact there'll still be a bit of water on the track. They shouldn't overheat. But to be honest, I don't do great in these conditions, the drying conditions, just because I have no idea how much grip there is left. So yeah, now it's just going to be a dash. You can see Nitro behind us is on the medium, so he's going to be quicker towards the end, as our tyres are going to drop right off. I think now we're going to skip onto the final lap. You can see there, Sir Spud pulled a massive gap on us. He was rapid once the track dried up. You can see Nitro now is closed right up. He closed about a second on this last lap, just because you can see the understeer around that corner. But we're going to hold on to third after probably one of my best races in this league. One of my most consistent drives. I usually struggle in the slower cars, but yeah, happy to have done that, and the strategy I think was the reason. I didn't have the pure pace to get on the podium, but yeah, with that strategy, it just yeah, played right into my hands, and happy to get back on the podium for the first time after rejoining this league. So yeah, really good race, and thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next one.